Hey everyone, Zaiden here. So last week I introduced the idea of comfort communications. Today I want to dive into that a little bit. 5 years ago, when I went through a period of acute grief and loss after the death of my daughter Elle, I couldn't get the support I needed at work. Even at one of the best places to work for in the world, the kind of support I needed was a gap in capabilities. Yes, all the resources were in place, and personally I had a good support group, but what I needed was for my team to come together for me. I wasn't in a headspace to navigate a benefits plan, let alone answer the same question 12 times in a row for each of my coworkers individually, or field who, what, where, when questions from 126 people on my project teams, or have a manager check up on me only when we had a heady topic we needed to discuss. And unless you've been through it, it's really hard to understand how corrosive poor communications can be, irrespective of how good the benefits are. Now I get it, like this was brutal for everyone. No one wants to deal with grief that's not theirs. Gross, no thank you. Especially grief like mine. To this day, when people tell me they don't know what to say to me, I say, good, I hope you never have enough experience with my kind of grief to know what to say, right? And that's really where this idea of comfort communications originated. Recognizing the need for a communication support layer to close that gap between people's intentions and impact during day-to-day interactions. Something specific enough to be relevant to the person going through loss, positive enough to be accessible to those around them, and simple enough for everyone to do with zero practice. Now, of course, if my experience had been isolated, this would have stayed an idea that I talk about over drinks, but it wasn't. One thing I am good at is spotting trends, and lately I've been talking with people about their careers and personal brands and their plans for this period of change, and I am seeing a trend that I really wish I wasn't. The need for comfort communications is more acute than ever. My experience at Ultimate Software took nearly a year to unravel. For a while I was able to brush off the unintentional jabs, until I wasn't. Because although the grief response wasn't great, a lot of other things were solid. And still, right, what a waste, all for want of a coordinated communication response. Today, I'm seeing things bottom out for people much faster. We all walk around with so much stress and doing so much compartmentalization just to get through our days. It really doesn't take much to knock us off our game. And on top of all the divisiveness that's gotten so ugly, at work, we're remote. We've got a new generation integrating into the workplace. Collectively, we've lost 2 years worth of socialization. So now you layer in loss on top of that, on top of an unhealthy base. This is a very unforgiving moment in time to try to navigate divorce, illness, job loss, and yes, death without help. Okay, so let's get into it. How does comfort communications help? Well, comfort communications makes it possible for us to support our teammates given that we're overwhelmed and exhausted and don't always get along and may not have a solid company culture to fall back on and probably don't know what to say or how to say what we want to say. And this is really important, we're probably working remotely. So in short, comfort communications helps you support your team regardless of team dynamics, regardless of where you work, regardless of everyone's current state of mind. So I want to walk through where comfort communications starts, which is with a team level communication plan. Now, I put together a document to help with this, and if you click the link below, I'll email it to you. And yes, you'll need to confirm, and yes, you'll have to check your spam folder. This is the world we live in. But I want to be clear, comfort communications is a comms plan. When something happens externally, comms implements a crisis communications plan. Well, guess what? Something happens internally, you're going to implement a comfort communications plan. And this plan what we're doing today is step one, because this piece of it makes everything else solvable. The organizational planning, the content support, all of it becomes solvable off of this base. Eventually, and I'm really excited, we will get to those elements. I've been working with a number of amazing folks to bring them to life, and you'll hear about some of them in the weeks ahead. I do want to mention John Manley, integrated marketing communications expert. He left the agency world. He now runs his own agency called Kraken. Yes, as in release the Kraken. Because one of his areas of expertise is developing content that drives action. Something that is often lacking in internal comms, by the way. And we've been bouncing comfort communications up against his content model to make sure things check out. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff like that, like really good stuff to come and people I'm excited to introduce you to. But today, we got to start at the beginning. The comfort communications team plan so you can support a team member who's dealing with loss. The plan starts by documenting the who, what, where, and when of what happened. Identify the original source of information in case questions come up and capture that link to the very first message that goes out So again, when there are questions, you've got the original note, you've got the timestamp, you can go back to the beginning. Next, you're going to call a team meeting without the person who's going through loss. A 15-minute huddle is probably all you need. And when you're there, you're going to identify some specific roles and responsibilities. And I'll go over these in a moment. And third, when you leave the huddle, you're going to go and execute the responsibilities that you've been assigned. Comfort Communications starts here because defining these roles simplifies the training and support needed to make sure that real interactions happen with real empathy. All right, so let's get into the roles. These can be filled by anyone on the team. It doesn't matter who. This is not a hierarchy thing. And yes, one person can wear multiple hats, just as long as the work gets done. Role 1, teammate liaison. Someone will be responsible for updating that original information with everything else you need to know to support. Services, rituals that the person wants observed, addresses where to send gifts, religious affiliations or preferences so that people know what to wear, how to behave when offering condolences. Will the person be taking time off? Do they want coworkers to ask about what happened or not? All the basics so you can be there in the moment providing that immediate response. 2, a prime response liaison. This is the person who the rest of the company will go to when they need information. So if there's an external announcement, this is the person to coordinate with the comms team. This is the person for the C-suite or project team members to go to for information so that they can provide timely support. Basically, this is the name to put into Slack or Teams who serves as the frontline source of truth. Role 3, performance coordinator. This is someone to liaise with the project teams to figure out what needs to be delegated and for how long. Probably the manager. Role 4, the family support coordinator. Coordinate gifts, memorials, meal trains, all of that, right? So you might have somebody in comms or HR who does that, great. Just make sure somebody on the team is following up to make sure that stuff gets done. And role 5, a resource coordinator who can make sure the entire team, not just the person with loss, but the entire team knows what HR, EAP, benefits packages are available, what their cost is, how long they'll be available, and can bring them to the team so together you can decide what you need. Right? And once you have that, you can already start to see where it's going to start to get simpler to execute. So in the document that you've got below, spaces are there to name these folks and then also to track communications going out a few months, including what you learn in each of these conversations so that they can build on each other. That's the kind of thoughtfulness and thinking about you that is actually helpful to someone going through this. So the beauty of starting Comfort Communications here is by getting some of this stuff out of the way, each person can focus very specifically on a type of communication. It's still hard, but we can start to break it down, and I hope you can start to see where the overall plan becomes more manageable very, very quickly. So listen, that's a lot. I'll leave it there. That's all I got today. I love you. I'll see you really soon. Thanks.